Thank you for sending in your questions to me. I'm Martyn Brown, political editor of the Daily Express, and Andy Burnham's become Prime Minister today, and the first question I got was about his cabinet. The Starmer cabinet failed, hence why he's gone, and you're asking what's the point of keeping the same failed MPs in the cabinet, just in different jobs? Is it just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic? Well, I don't think so, because Rachel Reeves is gone, David Lammy's gone, Peter Kyle's gone, and Steve Reed's gone so far. So to me, it's more like Andy Burnham's chucking those deck chairs over the edge of the Titanic. So we'll see how many more people are going to get sacked by the end of the day, but I would imagine most of them. Welfare. Second question is on welfare. Is Andy Burnham going to grow the backbone that Keir Starmer lacked and face down his militant backbenchers over the bloated welfare bill? Good question. I certainly hope so, for the sake of the nation. The welfare bill has spiralled to more than 330 billion, which is an eye-watering figure. It's totally unsustainable. Keir Starmer was weak when it came to taking on his backbenchers. He was like a human weather vane. Whichever way the backbenchers were blowing, that's the direction he took. Now, Burnham has got a bit of a reputation of being a political chameleon, and if he's going to survive, then he's going to have to shed that kind of moniker, and he's going to need to face them down. But I think we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But moving on now to the economy. Will Burnham economise so that tax levels are reduced and borrowing halted? Now, I've just hot-footed it from the Number 10 garden, where I actually met the new Prime Minister. He took some questions from journalists, and he's already hinting at potentially more borrowing, and also reintroducing the 50p tax rate. He didn't quash that when he was asked, and he was talking about the fiscal rules being very flexible within the fiscal rules that Rachel Reeves set when she was Chancellor, and everyone I've spoken to has said that is going to signal more borrowing. So again, bit of watch this space, but I don't think he's going to be cutting taxes anytime soon. Now, a lot of you are asking about policies. Why don't you have any policies on any of the big issues of the day? And the second part to this question, why are you avoiding scrutiny, and what are your policies on the big subjects? Not just Manchester, not the North, and the wonderful 1970s, which I assume was a joke. Well, you're right to say that Andy Burnham's been very coy about his policies. We don't really know much. We know that he's going to scrap Keir Starmer's hated digital ID, and he's also stood on the steps of Number 10 earlier and said that he's going to tackle homelessness. But the rest of it, defence, Brexit, the NHS, the economy, you name it, we don't know. Immigration, we don't have a clue. So it's not really the big bang we were expecting. He's probably going to drip out a few things tomorrow on the cost of living. But again, I think the public were wanting a bit more than that. And he's not known as the Messiah without a mandate for no reason. So I think the public really deserves to know what his plan is. On your second point, well, Manchester is a great city, but Burnham needs to serve the whole country, every town and village and area of this country, not just Manchester, not just the north of England, but everywhere, every county, rural communities, you name it. And the 1970s, well, I was born in the 1970s, so there are some good things that came out of that decade, but it did take, you're right, it did take Margaret Thatcher to drag us out of kind of a Labour-infused malaise in that decade and transform the nation. Burnham needs to focus on the present, not the past, and take this country forward. The next question is about a general election. A lot of people asking about general election. Will he call a general election? He called for the Tories to call a general election in the past. Questions about his mandate again. He's promising the biggest change in 40 years. Now, there's two schools of thought on the general election. One is that he'd be mad to do it because a load of Labour MPs, particularly some high-profile ones in the current cabinet, although they might not be for much longer, are in and in red wall areas are in kind of reform-facing seats, so they stand to lose their seats if there was a general election now. But the other school of thought is that Burnham's never going to be more popular than he is now, and Nigel Farage is in a bit of a sticky situation over his financial dealings. He's facing a by-election this summer against Count Binface. If he gets through that, then he may face another by-election in the autumn if the Parliamentary Standards Committee finds him guilty, and that could be trickier to win. Plus, Reform's popularity is waning somewhat. All this controversy about their financial dealings is hitting them hard, and that might be the time for Burnham to strike, particularly if he gets off to a good start in the next few months. Then he's promising to announce a 10-year plan in the autumn. To me, that suggests that he could be thinking about calling a general election. Why would you be talking about 10 years? 2 terms, two 5-year terms is a 10-year plan. So again, watch this space, but I think the next 2 or 3 months could determine whether we have a general election sooner than the 2029 when it's planned for. Immigration. What is Burnham's plan to address illegal immigration? Good question, because none of us know. He's not said anything on it. Frankly, I've got no idea. It looks like he's going to make Shabana Mahmood his Chancellor, which could be problematic, because to be fair to her, her policies have been a bit tougher than her predecessors, and she's actually got numbers down. They're coming down, both net migration and illegal immigration. So if she moves to Chancellor, then whoever Burnham gets in as Home Secretary could be crucial, because if illegal small boat crossings start to go up again, then you can bet your bottom dollar that Nigel Farage, Kemi Badenoch are going to jump straight on this, and this could haunt Burnham if things go the wrong direction from him on that. So he's not said anything about it. I suspect he won't this week either, but it's one for the future. What's he going to do to reduce unemployment? That's been one of the big stories of the last 2 years. Unemployment has steadily gone up since Labour came to power 2 years ago. Rachel Reeves hasn't really got a grip of the situation, and again, Burnham, if he wants to take us back to the 70s and high unemployment, then, well, that's not going to bode well for him. But if he gets his policies right, sorts out the economy, unleashes the economy by maybe reducing taxes, then he can get a grip on unemployment. But again, if he fails to do that, that could haunt him, and the clamour for a general election will grow further. Anyway, thank you very much for sending in your questions. I hope I answered some of them, and yeah, please keep reading.